relevant, reliable, and researched. This is Experts on Call, the show focused on delivering leading-edge news and information on today's most beneficial products and services. This is Experts on Call on AM 650.
And welcome back to the program. Sterling Fox with you, joined in studio by Norm Brown from Norburn Lighting and Bath Center in Langley and on East Hastings, just Willingdon area. And Norm, let's do a little lighting 101. We're going to go through the whole house here in a few minutes, and we're going to talk about effective and smart ways to light each individual area in the house. We would take a look out the backyard of the patio.
Cool.
But let's start off with the different types of lighting. There are 4 distinct types of lighting, and you're going to be referring to these different types for the rest of the conversation. So let's do lighting 101, Professor Brown, please.
Well, the first one is general lighting or ambient lighting. And that's general, just what it sounds like. It's light when you go into the room, make a bed, in and out of the house, sitting in the kitchen, eating. It's just general lighting.
Okay.
The second one is probably more important, and it's called task lighting. A definition of that is any place that your hand and your eyes are working together, that's called a task.
Okay.
And in most cases, it requires its own light source.
All right.
All right, be it a table lamp, a floor lamp, a wall sconce, a recessed light, a picture light. It's to provide a higher level of light for doing that task. And as we get older, we need more light to do that. So that's probably the most important.
And of course, different tasks, such as cooking, require different task lights than reading.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Different light levels.
Okay.
So the IES Association has a book that every task you can think of has a suggested light level.
Oh, okay.
It's even a suggested light level for the age involved.
All right. So we've got general lighting. Now task lighting. What's next?
Accent.
Oh, okay.
And that's real simple.
Mm-hmm.
You got something you want to show off, you light it.
Okay.
You want something that your eyes to be dragged to, you light it. A good example of that is next time you walk into a department store, you can see what they want you to buy by the light levels.
Of course.
So
you don't pay attention to it because you're there to buy something, but it is, if you just stand back as an observer and check out their lighting scheme,
you can see what they want to sell.
Yeah, that's
so you get all the highlights. So the human eye always goes to light.
Okay.
Okay, that's a natural.
So that would be the little light over the picture frame. That's an accent light.
Sure, a recessed light shooting down.
Okay.
There's all kinds of ways to accent it. You know, with the advent of LED now, there's all kinds of ways of accenting things.
Okay.
So anywhere where you want your eye to go somewhere.
All right.
All right, and that's a key that you have to remember when you're lighting a house. Where do you want the eye to go to? You know, I've walked into homes where they spent $20,000 in a beautiful ceiling, okay? And I've sat in them for half an hour, and as I got up, it was the first time I saw it because they hadn't lit it up.
Right.
Okay, or you got these high vaulted ceilings. If you don't light it, you've wasted your money because half the time you're in your house, it's dark.
Of course.
So if you don't light all this stuff that you've done and love, you'll never look at it.
Well, that's very interesting because, you know, why would you go to the trouble and expense in most cases of creating a vaulted ceiling and then not really highlight
Absolutely.
it? Look what we've done here.
Absolutely. They become big black holes, by the way, if you don't light them.
Exactly.
So that's quite interesting. One of the big problems with really high-end homes where they're not spending the money properly, and it's only an add-on of a few dollars compared to the actual cost of building the feature.
Interesting stuff. And what's type number 4?
4 is decorative.
Oh.
Decorative. Okay. Now that could be a little table lamp at the end of your ensuite counter. It could be I call a chandelier a decorative piece.
Oh, really?
Okay. I mean, chandeliers are terrible lighting for somebody my age. In fact, what you got to do when you buy chandeliers, you got to buy a dimmer to dim it down to the point where it doesn't hurt your eyes.
Right.
Okay. So that's a decorative piece. It's a centerpiece. The designer uses it for a focal part of the room, but in many cases it should not be a light source that you rely on to do your living.
All right, so now we've got, let's stick with us on this lighting 101 thing. So we've identified the 4 basic types of lighting as general, task, accent, and decorative.
Yep.
Okay, now before we get to the different rooms and which lights go where, let's talk about the bulbs, Norm, because that's a whole other movie, isn't it?
We're going through a revolution right now. It's called LED.
Right.
And people pushing new light sources. Unfortunately, they're pushing new light sources for energy saving only.
Right.
Okay, and they're doing that at the expense of light levels and doing it at the expense of quality of light. So we've really got 4 light sources that we use. Incandescent, and of course everybody thinks the incandescent bulb is outlawed, which is not true.
That's just an old-fashioned light bulb, right?
Regular light bulb.
Okay.
Okay, and of course the story got out last year that the 100-watt light bulb has been banned, and they're absolutely right. And the 60-watt light bulb will be banned next year in BC. But they've been replaced by a higher energy efficient incandescent bulb.
Oh, so you don't have to go with those
no.
curly Q ones, because that's the impression you
Absolutely.
get. You know, and I've got a couple of old lights, for example, with the shade that actually fits onto the bulb, and you can't do that to one of those modern squirrely things.
You and I will never see the incandescent light bulb gone.
Interesting.
It was the federal government in the United States and Canada that said, okay, time for energy efficiency. The good old incandescent light bulb has never been looked at as an efficient source because it's not.
Right,
it's
okay.
10% light, 90% energy. So they set new standards. And they said, okay, Mr. Light Bulb Manufacturer, you can't use 100 watts of energy for this light level. You can only use 72.
Okay.
So now you have a 72-watt incandescent bulb that gives you the same amount of light as 100. It dims. It's better color because a lot of them are using halogen technology.
Okay.
So the incandescent bulb is not gone.
Okay, well, that's nice it's nice to burst that bubble, because I
wish I could burst it with more people.
There are a few people listening right now who I'm sure are quite surprised by that, because it's an urban myth, Norm.
Absolutely.
It's been banned.
Absolutely.
Hang on to them, because you're not going to be able to buy them ever again.
We've had people come in and buy boxes of 100-watt light bulbs.
Well, I've seen people in Canadian Tire and places buying like armloads full of the things. Why were you buying all those? Well, they're going out of style.
I hate to do this, but I had to play the media on the hype.
Well, of course, of course.
Anyway, so the incandescent light bulb.
So incandescent, the old-fashioned light bulb is number one. What else is out there?
Well, halogen,
yes,
which is quartz halogen, which is another source of incandescence, another incandescent source. So it's not really a different source. Then you've got fluorescence. We've always had the linear fluorescence.
Sure,
We've had them since
the
the 40s.
Right,
the tubes, absolutely. And of course, people never understood them, and they hated the color because they weren't educated enough to know they could walk in for a fair bit more money and buy a fluorescent tube that will give you good color rendition. But they, instead of paying the 99 cents at the hardware store, they would have to spend $12, and that was crazy.
Oh, okay.
They would send the old man out to buy the light bulb, and he'd buy the 99-cent light bulb, and you'd turn it on and look, he died yesterday. Okay. The fluorescence today, if I'm
65
years old, I read under a fluorescent bulb.
Interesting.
A special color.
In doing the morning show here on the radio, I also work under those tubes.
Sure.
And the only reason, Norm, is because the studio is so badly lit that I would prefer not to have, I call them brain burners because they're so bright.
Yep.
But I have to have that kind of energy in the room for that time of day. How can I possibly be expected to wake up a city if I'm sitting in a cozy little softly lit room? I mean, I'm going to go to sleep.
Well, I'll jump ahead to rooms, but I always suggest fluorescence should go into laundry rooms and exercise rooms.
Okay.
Because on a dark, crummy day, you don't want to go into a room to do things you don't want to do, like laundry or exercises, in a room that hasn't got a lot of light, good light level.
Power it up.
Power up.
Okay, so those fluorescence and halogens.
The third one is LED, light-emitting diodes. Okay. It will change our industry.
It already is changing the whole world, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, you see stoplights, turn signal lights on people's cars.
Well,
I mean, there's LEDs are everywhere now.
LEDs were invented by the Russians in 1910. Okay, and we've had LEDs. Texas Instrument uses red LEDs in their computers and adding machines back in the 60s.
Okay.
What they couldn't do is they couldn't create a white LED, and they still can't make a white LED. But they were able to make a blue one in the 70s and 80s. And now what they do is they put the same stuff that we put inside fluorescents, phosphors, go inside LEDs. And that's how the white was made. So what we've got a problem right now, there's no standards in LEDs. So we're getting the phosphors are going in, and we're getting different colors coming out.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because they've got different. There's no control. There's no standard set yet.
Who sets the standards?
There isn't right now. There's some international companies trying to do it now.
Okay.
It's generally driven by the large manufacturers like Philips or some of the Japanese ones.
Right.
But right now, what the problem is that China, there's probably 5,000 manufacturers in China making LED because they're relatively easy to make.
Okay.
But there's no standard set.
Are they safe?
They're totally safe.
Okay.
There's no problem with safety. Okay. The problem with this is it's low light output. Okay. Right now they're being driven to save energy, but we're not getting the light output we need.
Okay.
Okay. So this is my big bug about it is that, I want a light level to see. I want my light fixture to save me energy, but I also want to be able to see.
Sure.
So we're seeing a lot of this LED stuff that's giving you half the light that you really need.
And I want to just interrupt the conversation for a second because Norm is in about 10 days going to be one of the speakers at a seminar. Now, this is an invitation-only seminar for a group of designers and architects. You do it every year. Your company does it every year. And this year, in addition to hosting the event, you're also speaking at one of the speakers at the event. And it's about the aging of the eye.
Absolutely.
And this is a science, really, a sub-science, if you will, of the lighting business that really, we're talking about a reality that as we age, we need more light.
Absolutely.
And light also causes more pain.
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, here's what happens to your eye as you get older, whether you like it or not. It yellows. So you now are reading a yellow newspaper because the print is not pure white. You're in an incandescent light source which is yellow. And so as we get older, we have real problem reading. So by using special fluorescence, a bluer color fluorescent, the print comes right off the page.
Okay.
Okay, so number one is the yellowing. Number two, our eyes aren't as opening and shut as they won't go as fast.
So they're not as elastic as they used to be.
I need more light.
Okay.
Okay. The eye hoods. So we're getting less and less light. So we need more and more in the room. But at the same time, we have to avoid something called glare. Now, glare, as we get older, causes pain in your eyes.
Yes.
You'd mentioned halogen.
Oh, halogen headlights. I drive into work in the dark every morning. They drive me nuts.
Or driving down a dark lane, there's one light fixture. You look at it and you're blind, and it hurts. That's glare. Okay, and it's the light is hitting the back of your eye in spots it never did, and it's causing pain. So my challenge as a lighting guy for someone my age is I need more light, a different color of light to compensate for the yellowing, and it can cause glare. It's a major problem.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because you talked about a chandelier, a lovely piece of light fixture, and yet they can be quite painful because, as you said, you go into the dining room and you turn on the chandelier, and the first thing you do is turn it down.
Absolutely.
Because all those little bulbs, all maxed up, that's quite a bright light.
Or you go into your bathroom first thing in the morning, and you got this clear light bulb, and it hits you. No one can tell me that doesn't hurt. So these are things that happen as we get older.
Interesting stuff.
And most people don't talk about. There's all kinds of studies. On the internet, we had a wonderful two ladies in Dallas last year who spoke on it, and that's all they do is lighting for the aged.
Right.
And it's revolutionary. Not only lighting, it's colors and everything else. We don't perceive colors the same because our eye's yellow. We don't see red at 65 as a designer of a 25 sees. So we have to understand the eye is changing, and we have to compensate for it.
Now, this seminar that's coming up is for professionals, and it was a sellout last year. In fact, you had more than a sellout last year.
We only got so much room in the store.
Exactly. So, but for designers and architects or friends who may be listening, are there still seats, or is it already sold out?
At this point, they're not sold out. They can call our office on Hastings, 604-299-0666, and you can check it out. We have a guest speaker coming in from New York, who's the president of one of the most advanced LED manufacturers of decorative lighting fixtures, and she'll be guest speaking as well, and we're unveiling a new lab that has nothing but LED fixtures in it.
Interesting, and that comes up, by the way, in just a few days on April 30th.
April 30th.
What's the venue? Is it at the store?
At the store.
Okay.
At the store.
On 4600 East Hastings in Willingdon.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, well, and I'm doing the Lighting 101 process with you, but I wanted to include the focus that you've spent so much time on, in terms of aging of the eye. Because now, as we go through the house, room by room, Norm, with some understanding of the types of bulbs and the types of lighting that you've just described, we'll also be able to note how certain things can be adjusted for different ages.
Yep. I told you the story that I always thought table lamps were sold in the fall because that was the market.
Right.
It didn't until I turned 60 realize that as the sun goes down in September faster, I can't read as much, so I want a table lamp. So we have people coming in right through till January buying table lamps and floor lamps to go into the living room, which is never have any light in it.
Right.
The others always put one light in the fireplace. And so you have this living room with 5 or 6 table lamps with cords all over the place, and you trip over them. This is lighting for living.
Oh, that's right. And aging.
Aging.
Norm Brown from Norburn Lighting is our guest. This is Experts on Call here on AM 650, and we're back with lots more right after this.
Delivering relevant and beneficial consumer information. This is Experts on Call. And there's more still ahead on AM 650.